This is Gateway City Sports.
It's a trap!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is the Team of Rivals podcast.
Everything you want to hear from the big sports to the big screen.
He's all by himself, fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No!
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
He doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Time winding down. Michael for three.
Yes! She is gone!
I don't believe what I just saw.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! You believe in miracles? Yes!
You may fire when ready.
What?
Fans, the Team of Rivals podcast, proud members of the Gateway City Sports Network, where you can find great podcast and blog content. It's Thursday, February 23rd, my sister's birthday, and we're streaming live. We're doing it again. Ron's pissed, but that makes Elliott and I happy. So you can follow us on social media, Team of Rivals Podcast, or you can find us online at teamofrivalspodcast.com. For those of you who prefer to watch the show, we also do post on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble, so hit the like and subscribe buttons and be sure the notifications are on so that you know anytime we post new content. We'll get into it, but this week I'm going to forego my monologue because it seems only appropriate that we do our first live stream of 2023. We started off with a little bit of nostalgia.
That's an unbelievable lead that he has. See, if he throws over where Tommy Pham is, he just takes off to second base.
He could. That's a trick. That step off and hold the ball. He's not going to throw to first base. But he did. That's all right. It's worth it.
Oh, the good old days.
Why do you got to do that to old Tim McCarver?
Well, because I had to honor him. I mean, we're not going to get quality content like that. Joining me without being on the screen quite yet, co-founder of Team of Rivals and number 104 in the 2021 edition, 2022. I got to update that. Of the Top Cards on Twitter, Ron Nuttall, and our permanent occasional guest host, Mr. Elliott Dewey. Gentlemen, how you doing? Tim McCarver, it's much fun as it is to poke fun. May he rest in peace.
Definitely. A funny personality too. We only had him for a couple of years. I think, towards the end of his career there, post days with the Mets and doing the Fox broadcast with Joe Buck. But he was an entertaining guy. I know that some people got rubbed the wrong way. And by some people, I mean all the dickheads that hang around on Twitter that complain about literally every broadcaster, every manager. You know the flavor, Pete. You guys touch Twitter enough to where you see them, and it's the usual suspects that are always bitching about the broadcasters, no matter who they are. Because they're all over 30, and Gen Z is never going to be happy with them anyway. So, fuck it. You can't win everything. Can't win anything. You just come middle of the
Elliott,
pack.
Do you have any wisdom to impart regarding Tim McCarver? Maybe Ron should take you off mute. Or maybe you should take yourself off mute.
He should take himself off mute. I don't do that to Elliott anymore. He's disciplined enough. We've house trained him. He knows to go on mute. Okay, so a little bit on Tim McCarver there. You think about his career as a broadcaster spanned several decades. He was one of those quirky personalities in this industry, and you don't find many like him. We've been fortunate enough to have several in our region, right? All these personalities like a Harry Carey or Mike Shannon, Bob Uecker. He's in our division, right? Like, you don't get many guys like that. I put McCarver in that class. You think about his career and who he caught when he was young. I mean, rookie year catching Bob Gibson through a couple World Series. I mean, the guy's seen a lot, and he could recall funny stories and memories quite often on just a Tuesday night playing Pittsburgh. It could be a blowout game, and he's talking about the Pigeons out in bleachers in left center field. So, I mean, you love guys like that. I know there's a new wave of broadcasters. We'll the next generation will have their own, but that was kind of ours, right? Like, we always get those retired players or those guys that are like 30, 40 years older than us that we grew up listening to, and he was just one of the many voices. Boy, I tell you, Cardinal Nation has taken a hit with Cardinals Hall of Famers and Hall of Famers in general. We've lost quite a few over the last 2 or 3 years. It is starting to pile up. I don't like it. Fewer red jackets on opening day is never a good thing. So,
speaking about red jackets on opening day, how weird was it for you to see Albert back in his familiar red this week?
By familiar red, you mean Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim red is what you're saying, right?
That's right. He's fulfilling his personal services contract for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's a business decision for him. It's, I can't, I don't really have a strong opinion on it whatsoever. I mean, like, we got lucky enough to have him here for the last year, and, he created a windfall in his pursuit of 700 in his last season as a player. I know some people are kind of bent out of shape over it, but look, he wasn't here the previous 10 years, so I don't think much of this. It's a personal services contract. He's decided to honor it. Kind of curious as to why, but those are his reasons. There's no right or wrong answer. So,
well, I mean, it's
probably going to get more money from the Angels than he is from the Cardinals. That's for sure.
Well,
he signed a contract.
Yeah.
So
he signed
the work that it would take to get himself out of that and to not fulfill it.
Yeah. Probably cost him more money.
I mean, now, granted, Artie was trying to sell that team, right? He's since stopped. But yeah, it was part of the original contract, part of the deal. So I don't know. I'm going to go to bed tonight same way I did last night. I'm not really going to care about this. This doesn't really bother me.
Hey, this wasn't on, I mean, not that we actually have a show map, but as close to a show map as we have. This wasn't on the show map. But
we had like 3 or 4 texts touching on what we may or may not talk about.
Exactly. That's what passes for a show map in TOR land. What do you think, Ron? I mean, you were the one who was most vocal about it the first time around. I think I know where Elliott's going to land on this, but what do you think? Are you ready for Shohei Watch 2.0? Because if Artie's not going to sell the team, it sounds like Shohei is gone.
Yeah, it does. And there's some like other interesting. I had read this today. I don't know if you guys have or not. Now, this is a Bleacher Nation thing, right? I know it's still they're a reputable outlet, yet still they're still like a fan outlet, right? There is a little talk about who's the player from Japan that the Cubs have now? I can't remember.
Seiya Suzuki.
Yeah. So, is he going to lobby this guy hard once he's a free agent or close to join the Cubs? I saw that today, and that could be just fan speculation, fan talk. I mean, you look at every big market. I know it's not answering your question whatsoever, Pete, and I apologize, but if you look at any big market, East Coast, West Coast, Chicago's in the middle. You probably maybe throw Houston in there too with all their recent success. I mean, any of those places is a possible destination for this guy. You have to think that, right?
You would think.
Yeah. So.
And Ron, it's not fan speculation. Seiya Suzuki has commented on it. He said he has talked to him. He said he's going to take the opportunity with Team Japan and lobby him to come to the Cubs as a free agent.
I mean, obviously he's not going to San Diego because San Diego is not going to have 50 million spared out. Although, I mean, they're now a luxury taxpayer, so maybe. But
do not count.
So maybe Yu Darvish will put in a good word for the Cubs as well.
That could he could, or he could put in a good word for his current team. Because I do not rule San Diego.
Wherever San Diego can find that 50 million a year.
Well, you think about it, right? When does he become a free agent?
Next year.
Okay, so you've got Machado already declaring he's going to opt out, right? Yep. So he could be gone. There's
he's gone.
He is. Well, he's at least going to opt out, and I think I know where your head's at, Pete. I don't think San Diego's going to push real hard to try to keep him there.
No, apparently they extended him an offer, right?
Yeah.
And it's basically no new money.
Yeah, so he's gone.
So they don't want him back.
He's gone. So you got to get a little bit cleared off there. Look, they only have to keep Soto, another year? Maybe another year beyond this one?
I can't imagine that they gave up all that talent to let him walk, even with the possibility of getting Ohtani.
Possibly. But here's the thing. They're such a wild card of an organization these days that I don't know what the hell they're going to do, man. I can't rule them out of anything. Literally, they're going to be part of this Shohei conversation, regardless of whether they have Yu Darvish on that team or not. They're going to be in there somewhere, and if for no other reason, it's to jack the price up on the Dodgers to keep them out of the bidding, I would guess.
Well, and you got to think that the Dodgers are the betting favorite, right? I mean, I think they are. Like, in actuality, I think they're better.
Right. You'd have to think any of those West Coast teams that at times are willing to spend money would be in the running for that. I wouldn't even rule out Seattle because they've done dumb shit.
Well,
before.
You can never rule out Seattle.
No, I mean they've got a touch of San Diego in them, right? I mean, wasn't the old GM up in is it Dipoto that's up in Seattle now? So there you go.
I just got to say, I'm enjoying a little bit that you actually know who Ohtani is now, because I remember when we first started this podcast, and I was like, so there's this guy coming over from Japan. What do you think about it? You were like, who the hell is Shohei Ohtani? I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, here's the thing. It's the whole MLB hype machine. I get it, right? Yeah. They're trying to promote this game internationally, and they want fans from Japan to watch this game. Like, you trace that all the way back to the days of Ichiro, all right? So, or Hideo Nomo, actually, before that. So the hype machine was pumping this guy up, and before we knew about the Astros, right? They had just won the World Series in 2017, and they put this guy's picture up next to the world champion Astros team. Like, this guy's coming here to take the West from the world champions. This one player who's never, ever faced a major league pitcher, who's never faced a major league batter, and he was already declared, the savior of the West. That it doesn't matter who he is or what he is or anything. Anytime that the media or baseball does that to a player, just annoys the shit out of me. It really does. I guess I've seen too many bottles of wine I thought were going to be great spoiled.
You go to the AL West to die. Isn't that what you do? You go to
much. You don't go there to win championships.
No,
not.
I mean, you have
not very often.
Two of the most electric baseball players in MLB on the same team, and you can't do shit.
The guy's trying to.
Pathetic.
He has literally thrown his wallet at trying to make that work out there, and it's been funny to watch.
What do you think the chances are that Ohtani changes his address?
90%.
And by changes his address, I'm talking about leaves Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So that would mean leaving the not signing with the Dodgers either.
I know. Dodgers have a deep checkbook too. And they are, this offseason, they are willing to spend whatever it takes. They're almost as crazy as the Mets in the amount of money that they're looking at spending. So, they've got a lot on the books this year. So it'll be interesting to see what the Angels do at All-Star break and how much they're going to ask, because they're stupid if they don't try to move him by the All-Star break, because that's a organizational changing trade that you could get for Ohtani.
Yeah, but you got to narrow it down. You would think the teams you think that would have a good shot at locking him up long term, right? And it's got to be the teams that would potentially be in on that deal think they have a realistic chance to keep him. So you would have to immediately include
100%.
You'd have to include the Yankees, right? That's a given. I'd say the Dodgers will be in on that conversation. We got San Diego, who's batshit crazy. They're in on everybody, even your wife. So there's nobody that they have no shame. No, so they'll be in on everything. I would even say them. Would you say the Mets too?
You also have to think that it's got to be an organization that's basically willing to sacrifice its farm system.
Yeah,
because that's what it's going to take to land him. And that's why I think that if he is on the trade market, I don't see the Cubs.
I don't either
in the trade market for Ohtani.
No, because they've finally gotten their farm system into a pretty healthy place right now, and I don't see Jed sacrificing the future because even if the Cubs got Ohtani this season, I don't see him changing the team enough in adding enough wins to get them. I mean, could they make a wild card? Yeah, probably. Absolutely. Would they win the division with him added to it? Probably not. I think it would be close. But you've got a lot of talent that's coming up, outfield pitching, that they would that the Angels would get, that I think have a chance to be really, really good and help the Cubs get to that next level of consistent winning. So,
and I think that the conversation that any organization has to have, I mean, Ron, I think you're right. They have to feel like they have a pretty good shot at signing him, because otherwise that's the first consideration, right? We're going to mortgage the future. Do we have a shot at signing him?
Yeah. I think the only team that's crazy enough to do it would probably be the Mets, because they got embarrassed during the offseason.
Well, that's what you were talking about. Yeah. Talking about teams spending crazy money, and I'm not sure which came first, right? The teams that are spending the crazy money, or have the Mets made them even crazier to where a handful of teams are spending even more money, which is pretty damn interesting. Now, the thing about the Mets owner that I don't know if I love him or hate him yet, because he is putting a lot of other organizations on notice, right? Like, he's saying, I'm doing everything I can. I'm not just going to sit here and accept mediocrity. I'm gonna bring in the best possible players I can. I'm paraphrasing something I'd read, but he's got to be making some other owners very, very uncomfortable.
And he made he thought, I honestly, I wasn't a fan until this week, but then he made a point that made tons of sense. I don't know if you caught it, Ron. I'm sure you did, Elliott. He said, look, the goal is not to continue to spend $400 million a year, but the goal is always to put a competitive team on the field. And right now, our farm system isn't where I expect it to be. And so we need to buy some time until the farm system gets up to snuff. And until that point, I'm going to continue to spend money so that I can put a competitive product on the field, which is probably pissing off a lot of owners, because that's not the way they approach it. Right. You can do one, or you can do the other.
Those bottom,
don't get to do
bottom
both.
7-8 teams. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, right? He can't be over that soft cap. He can't be over the luxury tax forever, right? It's just going to keep compounding on you, and no matter how much money you have, it's still going to start to sting at some point. So he's looking at it long term too.
Once his future kind of, or once those young guys kind of catch up to where he needs to be, then he doesn't have to spend as much money.
Yeah,
and then he can kind of get some of that stuff off the books.
Right. Yep. Then it's just you sign that one splashy free agent every year who fills the gap.
100%.
So see, now my biggest fear. My biggest fear is, of course, that the Cardinals get involved in this. And they somehow land
Ohtani. Get involved in this? Are you crazy?
No. But Elliott, yeah, I know. Except let's look at recent history. Okay, here's what's going to end up happening. Somehow, Mozeliak and Gersh are going to manage to trade for Ohtani and Joe Adele, and they're somehow going to finagle. Even though you can't do it right now, they're still somehow going to finagle the Angels' 2026 first-round draft pick. And in exchange, they're going to send the rights to Yadier Molina's, the rest of Yadier Molina's career, Adam Wainwright, the rights to Adam Wainwright in 2024, and I don't know, a bucket of balls.
No. There's one more you're forgetting about. And I'm disappointed.
The Angels are going to take on salary.
No. That last part you tried to cover up there. No, the last one I disagree with you. The Rockies are going to pay for part of the salary.
You're right. The Rockies are going to get involved with this. They're going to say, this is too good. We need to be a part of this. We'll take on the salary. We'll take on $25 million a year in salary, so that somehow the Cardinals managed to sign Ohtani for $25 million a year. That's my biggest fear, and that there's at least a realistic possibility that something like that will happen.
Boy, that would be something, wouldn't it? I mean, I would have to literally eat a shoe on camera after all the shit that I've talked about, the hype around this guy. I've given him credit over the last year, though. He had an impressive year last year. I guess you would have to say he's absolutely lived up to the stardom promise and the hype. I know I gave him a hard time, but boy, I would really have to walk back a lot of what I said. And not to mention, I have to buy a couple Ohtani jerseys for a couple boys I have.
Oh, God.
Oh, speaking of this, you guys will like this. So I had my annual wellness check, right? And, the doctor said it might be a good idea. And she's all of about 5 foot tall, but she's very intimidating. She said, losing 20 pounds might not be a bad goal for me this year. It wasn't very nice, but that's what she said. So with that in mind, I was throwing the football around with my boys last weekend, right? I'd coming off the back end of a cold, was on my ass for the back half of the week, but I got up a little bit. All right, fine. So I just went out front of the house, threw the football around a little bit. And I heard my 9-year-old go, "Hey, everybody, look, it's Fatrick Mahomes." So anyway, that's what I've been going by the last week.
Is that why you're drinking the Mick Ultra instead of something else?
To Mick Ultra.
Oh, we just got our show title.
Yeah. Fatrick Mahomes. I had to laugh at that. I'm like, God damn, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I don't like being on the other end of it, but
that's
obviously
brutal.
Obviously
your kid.
That's brutal.
Yep.
Obviously your kid.
Mm-hmm. It sure is.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that. I'm glad we were talking about the Mets, which led to an Ohtani touchback, and then I was able to recall Fatrick Mahomes. Thought that fit in well for this episode since we're topic hopscotching, or at least I am.
Hey, that's okay. It's been so long. We absolutely need to.
Got a lot to catch up on. And Pete, you wanted to talk about first impressions though of camp, so I think that's where we need to go. That's why most people.
No. We don't need to go there.
Okay.
We need to get a little light here for a second.
Well, good. You know why I don't want to go there? Because it's boring as shit.
It is boring as shit, especially because it's only been a week?
And I could care less.
Too early.
Yeah.
Well, we've got the exciting stuff actually starts this weekend with the games.
Hey, can we take a turn later, Pete? When we talk about first impressions at camp, I want to throw out the one-liners. We're going to take turns of the typical shit we hear every year. I'll give you one example, Elliott, and we're all going to do it.
Elliott already texted it.
He's in the best shape of his life. That kind of crap.
Elliott texted the best one right off the bat,
man. Well, we hadn't done a podcast in a while, so I was like, come on, we got to do it this weekend. I'm in the best shape of my life.
I didn't see that.
You didn't see that?
I didn't see that.
But this afternoon. Okay. Before we get into it, though, we got to have some fun. All right. I know you're not looking forward to it, Ron, but we need to have some fun. So I don't know if you caught it. I'm sure Elliott did. But I think everybody will be happy to hear that Joe West has found a way to keep himself engaged in his retirement. Obviously everybody's favorite umpire, the man who never put himself above the game, who always respected baseball and its traditions. I, for one, was worried about what Joe was going to do, no longer being able to be around baseball, and possibly being thrust out into the open, into the spotlight. How would you deal with that after having spent so many years in the shadows? You'll be glad to know.
I can't wait to hear this.
You don't know this one, Ron?
No, I don't, but I cannot wait. You're dragging it out though. Let's go.
I am. So this is from Awful Announcing. They did the best recap of this. During his 1979 to 2021 career, Joe West umpired more Major League Baseball games than anyone in history. A fan of West, are there fans of West? Anyway, might say that he was an assertive, take charge kind of umpire. A more cynical and frankly generally more accurate view would be that he was often argumentative, seemingly creating conflicts when his job should be to resolve them. That apparently has not stopped. A baseball subreddit recently found that a Wikipedia user, Crew Chief 22, was attempting to make edits to West's Wikipedia page. West took issue with some of the things on his page, including detailing a 1983 incident when he shoved Joe Torre, the then manager of the Atlanta Braves. Crew Chief 22's alterations were not accepted, and whoever Crew Chief 22 is was not happy. And when his complaints didn't seem to work, he took it to the next level, threatening legal action. Quote, I need your name and address so I can give it to my lawyer when he files charges against Wikipedia. You're putting Wikipedia in a very compromising position. And then he signed it, Joe West.
Shut up.
Here's the thread.
Wow. Okay.
Here's the edit thread on Wikipedia 22. And
right.
I really, what I should do is I should share my screen, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to read it because otherwise it would just be ridiculous, especially for the audio portion. I constructively corrected the bullshit that was on this page. There was never a shoving match between Joe Torre and West. I should know. I was there. And the federal court ordered MLB to reinstate the umpires, just as I wrote. If you aren't going to leave my page alone, please remove it completely. I don't need anyone knowing anything about me, and I certainly don't need anyone reading things that are not true. Either reinstate what I wrote or erase the entire page. I'm tired of correcting your lies.
I mean,
oh my God.
I mean, that's why the guy put out albums. He doesn't want anybody to know about him. Right?
Isn't all of that caught on video? Isn't it all on video anyways?
I'm sure it is somewhere.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What a freaking idiot.
Well, what would you do without him? We wouldn't be sitting here talking about Joe West.
I know. I'm kind of going to miss him.
Is Angel Hernandez still calling balls?
Yeah, I believe Angel's still playing, so he's going to have to up his game this year.
Oh yeah, that's it. Joe West has set the bar pretty damn high.
Yes, and in just his first couple of months of retirement, that's the impressive thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't even stepped away for a year.
He's
already decided to reinsert himself.
We should purchase one of those West vests. Like he's got his own patented like umpire's vest or something, right? Like I think if you go to, he's got a website, he sells this shit, and it's the West vest. We should buy one as a giveaway, right? Sound like a good idea?
I think you're right. Oh my God, Ron, I'm gonna ask.
Yep.
I'm gonna ask. You gotta allow me to share my screen.
Can I do that?
You can.
Hang on it.
All right, so I got this video.
Are we ready?
Joe West.
There we go.
There it is.
Oh my God.
Are you seeing it?
Yeah, there it is. The West vest. Yep.
Umpattire.com.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm surprised that he didn't get himself in there as the model.
I know. Rest in peace, sir. Mark Littell did that all the time with this cup.
I know.
That's a cool screen.
You like that?
Yeah.
Now you can put me back.
Oh, did you fuck it up? Am I going to have to do this really in
I
real
probably
time?
did. I probably did.
All right. Well, anyway.
You can just keep
I didn't
going.
have you centered
Nobody
anyway.
wants to see me.
No, you'll be back soon enough. So here, I'll just I'll give your camera a minute there to reacclimate, and then we'll.
I think I see what I did.
Okay. Be great if you get it.
There we go.
Oh, good. Okay, good. I didn't want to take the camera. I'm gonna give it back to you. Hey, Pete.
Hey, you know what I love about it? Before we move on, I just have to say,
okay.
Ron, I love that you've got the green screen there so that I can pat you on the back.
It almost looks like you guys are in the same room.
Oh shit, it does. Yeah, how did I do that? Oh, let me fix that too on the fly. Hey Pete, one of the things that you guys had talked about in the chat, which that's wrong character. One of the things you talked about in the chat was, and Elliott and I have been all over this, was the regional sports network and the bullshit going on there. That is actually a lot. I'm going to take your fun away. There we go.
Oh, come on, Ron. This is going to be the best part of the... YouTube's going to be so
You almost
disappointed.
had moose horns.
RSN, hey, no, you're absolutely right, Ron. And let's credit where due. At least in our chat, the Twitter direct messages, Elliott broke a story, man. Elliott, you're like our Michael Cerami. You need to go jump in the lake. So since you broke it, you talk about it.
Well, y'all know I try to find like the best deals with streaming and stuff like that. And I've moving around the country and not having Marquee because they have for some reason decided that the only services that they're going to be on is traditional cable TV. So Comcast, DirecTV, whatever. And the only streaming service that they're on is Fubo, which is probably like the 5th or 6th largest streaming TV service out there, because you've got Hulu TV, you've got YouTube TV, and you've got Sling TV, which are the top 3 services, and with YouTube TV being the largest streaming TV service in the market. So recently, where I'm going with this is Marquee is owned by the same company that owns all the Bally Sports. St. Louis really? Cardinals are yes.
So what is that called? I can't remember the name.
It's an RSN. It's a regional sports network.
Well, no, but the parent company that bought all this stuff, can't remember the name of it. But yeah, okay, keep going.
Sinclair.
Sinclair, that's right.
Yeah, yep. Sinclair. So Sinclair TV is the holder of Bally Sports. So Bally Sports Midwest, Central, Colorado,
all of them,
whatever.
like 14 of them. Yeah, I mean, there's more than that.
Yeah, there's like
it impacts 14 baseball teams. Yes.
Yeah, 14 baseball teams. So it's 14 baseball teams that have Bally Sports. Well, they purchased them 2 years ago, and their first payment came up this last month of $130 million, and they missed their payment, and they had to file. They're imminently. I haven't seen if they have yet. Are going to file Chapter 13 on all the Bally Sports networks, which is going to affect the St. Louis Cardinals in a very negative way. A lot, because what it's going to do is it's going to take all the rights. The rights are going to go back to MLB. And so there's a lot of confusion, a lot of what's going to happen that's going to go on here with these 14 teams that can't afford to run these services. And it's a complete mess. So I think this was the big reason that Fox sold off all of these RSNs, because these are all old Fox affiliates, Fox Sports Midwest.
Right. Yep.
Fox Sports LA, Fox Sports Colorado, Denver, that sort of thing.
Well, and be regional too. So you had Midwest,
it's going to be a huge deal.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
The one thing that pissed me off the other day is, again, I saw a promotion for MLB.TV. Watch all of your out of market games. It's like, motherfucker, I want to watch my in market game. Sorry, pardon my language. We're gonna get the mature.
Oh yeah. I'll have to put the E on the podcast, and we've had the E on there permanently for like 6 years.
That's gonna be a huge change.
Yeah,
we're gonna lose so much of our audience.
Going to.
Well, we can go all day about what's going on here. I don't know how quickly, like, if Major League Baseball was able to take this thing back over. Like, it's not like they can flip a switch and start streaming games overnight. I mean, they don't. You have to have a little bit of infrastructure for that, right? Cameras, crew to operate everything, broadcasters, the whole gambit, right? So I don't know how quickly they can turn this thing, but you would have to think that if you just take the Cardinals example, Elliott, since you just threw it out there, if Bally Sports decides, hey, look, they're going to go tits up and they can't broadcast anything going forward, and Major League Baseball is able to step in and reclaim the rights to broadcasting, that there's nothing preventing them from hiring that entire crew that's been working there the entire time. Now, I'm sure there's not a Radio Shack around the corner where they can just go buy all the equipment they need, and that stuff's going to take time. But I'm sure they've got some kind of plan B in action. It's not like baseball or owners are sitting there waiting for this shit to happen. I mean, they're probably making some kind of contingency plan. Nothing would make me happier. Now, it would piss off an older crowd who's got their cable TV package or their 2-year commitment to DirecTV and everything else. But nothing would make me happier for baseball to get their rights back and cut this blackout bullshit for people that live in Iowa who can't watch 6 teams. Nothing would make me happier than to
agree.
And if you look at let me throw out MLS right now. MLS has got this streaming package they're offering too, where their advertisement on there. I tweeted out on our account. Hey, look, MLB, like no blackouts for this one. Like, doesn't matter where you live, you have access to the game. Yeah, it's going to cost you whatever a year annually, but you break that down. Hell, even the baseball package, I think they upped the cost on it. But I mean, if you look at it, guys, it's less than $1 a game. Like, most of us would be willing to pay that.
I think the deal is here that MLB had sold the rights to Fox Sports, and I want to say it was like a 20-year deal or something like that. It was a long-term deal.
Yeah.
So right now MLB doesn't have any control over it. So when Bally Sports took control over it, they essentially took over that contract that Fox Sports had over it. Now, I just brought up an article. I was kind of just skimming through it. MLB is saying that if they miss one more payment, the league has already said that Manfred is already looking to the future where he can take the MLB games and package them digitally in a linear level to the consumer. So I think the best thing for the sport would be if the Diamond Group, it's Diamond Group that holds all this, would miss another payment. Mm-hmm. MLB would be able to take back over their own services. And because this is the greatest thing I've ever heard Manfred said, he says, I want to get to a point where on the digital side, where you can go to MLB TV and you can buy whatever the heck you want. So you can buy the out of market, you can buy the local games, you can buy 2 sets of local games, you can get whatever you want. That is what they should be doing. They should be selling these packages to people in market so they can watch their games, because I tell you what, guys, right now in the United States, 50% of consumers stream their TV. They do not have a traditional TV package.
And it has been
baseball needs to get with the times.
Yeah, and Elliott, it's been such a turnaround on a trend. And here's the funny thing about this, guys. Baseball was ahead of all this stuff in technology, for years. They were ahead in MLB.TV. They were ahead of the NFL. They were ahead of all of these places. But with the deals they've had, with the contracts they've had, with the blackout restrictions, all this other shit, they've been hamstrung by that. So this is a perfect opportunity for them to get out from under all of that. And yes, are they going to alienate a percentage of the population who has a cable package? It's going to happen, sure.
Boomers.
But hey, look,
the ones hooking
up an Amazon Fire Stick or anything else is pretty goddamn easy for most people. And I don't know anybody who's got a cathode ray tube TV still in their home. They might have issues. But anybody who's got anything HDMI and any kind of Wi-Fi or internet, which most people do now, I think this is going to be a smaller problem than what most people think. So, Pete, you were going to say something. You had your hand up.
If people can figure out how to watch NFL, they can figure out how to watch baseball, because the NFL is on 15 different freaking networks throughout the year.
And it's going to blow up now that it's going to YouTube TV. And you don't have to be tied up.
100%.
You don't have to be tied up with a direct TV contract. AT&T, they fuck that. And so, yeah, this is we've seen the future happen quicker than I think any of us would have imagined even 10 years ago. With TV and live sports and everything. It's totally changing, which to me, it's a good thing, right? You should not be able to be a resident of Iowa and not be able to watch 6 major league teams. That is asinine.
The big challenge for them, though, is going to be people like my dad who just cannot get a good enough signal my dad can stream stuff, but the experience is horrendous. And the only saving grace for him is that he doesn't know any different, right? Mm-hmm. All he knows is 5 megabits. He doesn't know what it's like to have it screaming to where he can play something 1080p with no delay.
Yeah.
And so those are the people that I think you guys, you're absolutely right, is finding that sweet spot, right? Where you can still make their broadcast partners happy and make the contracts that they have with them worthwhile, but not price it so much that people like the three of us are going to say, no way, there's no way I'm paying that much money to watch baseball, especially when, I've got other things going on in my life. I'm not going to watch 500 games a year. And so it's not worth it for me to pay. I don't know. What would you guys pay? That's actually a good question.
Well, you got to look at it this way. Right now, MLB.TV for every out of market game is like, it's $130 a year. No matter if your in market is 6 teams or 2 teams. So I think for a team, so if I just want to watch the Cubs whenever I want to at home, $60 for the year. I think that's fair. I mean, if you're charging $130 for every single other baseball game for an entire season, I think paying about $60 for a year for my team is a reasonable amount.
If I can pay $60 for a year, I am all in.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's going to be enough to satisfy their broadcast partners. I don't know that the cable companies are going to be happy but that they're going to lose people for $5.
Think about leverage though, Pete. If you're unrestricted now, right? You're contract free. You got out from under this deal you've had. And you can go direct to consumer, right? Which is always higher margin, by the way, for baseball teams, for Major League Baseball. When you don't have to go through a cable company, you can go direct to. That's like 100% gross margin, right? On that one. Where if you go through a cable company, it's a lot less than that. So when you go back to a cable company, that's fine. Hey, we got a direct to consumer model, but we understand there's still a demographic. There's still a fan base that isn't going to stream, or they're not in a location that can do that. We're willing to put, our broadcast or broadcast through this network, whatever you still have. We're still willing to put games on there, but those cable companies no longer have the leverage they had before. And so now it's going to be, they're going to I think what'll happen is they'll still be able to get sports networks or games, or even if it's just tied to a team, they'll still be able to get that stuff out there on the cable network. But the league or the teams will not have to be paying through the nose, or they won't have to be paying through the nose like they had before. Those margins are going to be a lot higher. So the leverage is all shifted back to Major League Baseball. That's just the way I'm kind of looking at it. And so the ball's in their court. They can kind of call the shots from here on out, I think.
I hope so. I mean, I hope it goes the way that, we've been discussing in Diamond Group. I mean, everything points that they're going to miss their next payment on it. I mean, you miss $130 million payment, more than likely you're going to miss your second $130 million payment. I mean, so
yeah, that'll be an interesting thing.
If it goes back to baseball, it'd be great.
It just would have been, it would have been better if it was, it's going to be timed as the season starts. How quickly our teams, there's going to be an organization or two out there that just can't respond to it real quick, and they're going to have a gap when, they don't have games being broadcast on TV. They'll probably still have radio. Or some kind of cheap way where they've got 1 or 2 cameras operating where they can kind of show what's going on. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how these regional teams handle it. Teams like the Pirates, how are they going to do it? How are the Cardinals going to do it? So 100%. I don't know. It's a rapid change, man. So this is the fun shit. I like seeing stuff like this. I like seeing the blackout. My thing is seeing blackouts just disappear, go away. And I will pay the full price to be able to watch any game I want to, even though I'm going to watch, 95% of the games I'm going to watch are going to be the Cardinals. I still want to bounce around once in a while. If the Cardinals have an off day, I might want something on in the background. So I'm going to pay the whole thing.
And also the ability, which you don't always have right now, when you hear that, Verlander and DeGrom are in the 8th inning and both of them have a no-hitter.
Yeah. Right.
You want to be able to switch over to it and know that it's going to be there rather than switch over to some random provider and find out that your package does not support this game.
ESPN's going to force you to watch something like that anyway. Even if you're watching like the Final Four championship game, they're going to break in on a baseball game they're going to have like an invisible pair of hands, like holding your eyes open and forcing you to watch Aaron Judge try to break the American League home run record.
Well, maybe. We'll see.
That wouldn't happen in the Final Four.
That's oddly specific, Ron. Did that happen to you?
It's that college football fans were up in arms last year of ESPN breaking into college games, showing an Aaron Judge at bat.
Obviously.
Yeah.
All right. It's already 9:50, gents. So quickly, initial spring training impressions after 1 week.
Haven't paid a ton of attention. Watched some videos of some live spring training hitting, and it's spring training. Everybody's in fantastic shape. I put on 20 pounds of muscle. I'm hitting belly bombs, I just want to see games.
I've worked on my grip.
Right. I changed my mechanics of the way that I'm throwing this year, and I'm getting more spin on my breaking ball.
I've eliminated my leg kick.
I take a shorter stride.
I've been stretching more and lifting less.
I changed my diet.
Oh, you just took that one from me, Elliott. Damn it.
More protein, less veggies.
I went into a dark room for 4 days.
Wrong sport.
It's going to happen sooner or later.
Okay, there you go. Who's your money? Who is the Aaron Rodgers of baseball who we will find out in the offseason went into a dark room? Intentionally, not by accident. Because, obviously...
Somebody who's using a deprivation tank.
A 4-day dark room by accident, that might be Wilson Contreras. But, intentionally.
No.
Oh, God. When the season starts, we got to talk about that whole shit show.
I've got it. No, I've seen... All right.
Lies.
Look, if he was still playing, obviously it would be Manny Ramirez. But he's retired, so...
Pete, that would be from a blackout, not on purpose. Who would go into a dark room? Who's a weirdo that would go into a dark room for 4 days to find themselves or do whatever? What's that supposed to do anyway?
It depends on... I actually read the article about it on ESPN because they interviewed the guy. He's out in Oregon. It all depends on the individual.
Of course.
They interviewed a couple of people. One guy said that he came back, with a focus on... I think he said his focus was on sense of purpose. And then the other woman that they interviewed was... she came out with a focus on being present, or maybe it was switched. So it all depends on what you come in with. And they also said that you need to have your issues sorted out before you go into the dark room, because if you go into the dark room and you don't have your issues sorted, they tend to come to the forefront.
Well, fuck. Then I'm never going in the dark room. Okay. Who is the player?
Baseball player.
That we
One
can
of
see
your weird
emerging
ass
from
outfielders.
Oh, no, I think it's going to be, I know who it is.
I've got an obscure name for you, Pete, and I think you may or may not agree, so I'm going to throw this one out.
Bar.
No.
Nah, it's a relief pitcher.
Okay, well, I'm going to throw one out. I don't think he plays anymore, though, but if he still played today, right now.
Bat liquor.
John Jaso. Do you remember him? Dreadlocks, white guy with dreadlocks for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
He seems like that out of the ordinary individual. He didn't have the success of Aaron Rodgers in baseball as Aaron Rodgers did in football, but I can see a guy like that doing it.
I can see someone like Yasiel Puig doing shit like that.
I think he would crack in 2 hours.
You're probably right.
I got the name.
Okay.
He's not in there anymore. But this actually would bring it back because, unless I'm mistaken, I believe he did play for the St. Louis Cardinals. Khalil Green.
Oh, yeah. He had some...
I could see him doing it.
He had some anxiety issues and mental issues and everything. Yeah, I could...
And he was a West Coast kid.
That's a good call.
Yep. I think that's really what you got to look for, right? It's going to be somebody from California, Washington, or Oregon, right? There are, or maybe Santa Fe.
Anybody who's ever tried a yogurt enema is a candidate for going to the doctor for 4 days.
Elliott laughing uncomfortably.
He doesn't know.
I see you.
That's awesome.
All right. So there was, okay, I'm going through the text here. I'm going to have to. You're going to make me do it.
There was one more thing, but I don't think we need to touch on it right now because it's eternal, and we can get back to it next week when we return.
No, if I want to. Maybe I don't want to go back next week.
All right, fine. What's your favorite? What do you anticipate? Sorry, what do you anticipate being your favorite change to the rules this year? And what's your least favorite change?
Oh, okay. My favorite change, and I'll say this as being a player, not a professional player, obviously, but amateur in college, traveling around playing for the Marine Corps a little bit, is the pitch clock. I don't know. It's questionable on how it'll be enforced and how often and how frequent, how consistent, but there's nothing worse than being a position player, especially the outfield, and having a pitcher take their sweet ass time between every pitch to where you're standing out there for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, just waiting to get through an inning. The pitch clock is something that the younger pitchers are used to. They're already doing it. We just don't notice it because they've been doing it in the minor leagues. I think the pitch clock will be a good thing, and it's a good thing for not just pace overall, but I think for their position players, I think it'll be a great thing because they'll be on and off the field. In theory, right? In theory, it's better. I just know as a position player, when a pitcher was taking his sweet ass time, man, I'm fucking out there pacing or out in center field, cussing like Jesus Christ. How long does it take? Right. So yeah, I like that rule. The one I hate, and I'll bounce it around, is the throws to first.
Limiting it to 2.
Yeah.
And then if you throw a third time, you better get them.
Yeah. I don't like that one either. Obviously, it goes without saying, we've talked on here enough. I don't like the ghost runner. I think they should push it back an inning or two, but we've already talked about that here. So the throw over to first limitation, I think, sucks. But yeah. What do you think?
Well, I'm just going to comment on yours first, and then I'm going to throw it to Elliott. And let's remember, it's not just a pitch clock, right? Well, it's a pitch clock in that the pitch needs to be delivered, but it applies not just to the pitcher, but to the batter, because the batter has to be back in the box in, I think it's 9 seconds, right? So gone are the days of Nomar Garciaparra adjusting every piece of his equipment in between pitches.
Or David Ortiz.
I actually think that it's going to be more of an adjustment for hitters than it is for pitchers. I think the hitters are going to be the ones who are going to struggle with it initially.
Well, if you think about it, Pete, right? Like veteran position players, yes, you might be right. Younger position players that have kind of been exposed to this pitch clock rule in the minor leagues, yep. I don't think they'll have much of an adjustment at all.
And here's what I think it is, right? I think what we're going to see is we're probably going to see the average pitch velocity decline this year because pitchers aren't going to be able to go 100%. They're not going to have the recovery time, right? Mm-hmm. Especially the ones that work slowly. So we're probably going to see their velocity decline a little bit, which in theory should make the game a little bit more exciting because a tick or two off a fastball suddenly makes it that much easier for a hitter to catch up to. But also the hitters aren't going to be able to cycle through every potential possibility in the time between pitches to figure out what pitch they're looking for. They're just going to have to get into the box and swing with conviction and hope for the best. And that, I think, could make things exciting. Elliott, what are you looking forward to?
Actually agree with Ron on the pitch clock. I mean, that's probably one of the major adjustments that's going to affect the game and speed it along a little bit better. I like it. I like the games where you have those pitchers that get the ball, get the sign, and pitch the ball. It makes for a better game because it keeps the crowd engaged. It keeps the players engaged. So I like that. And actually, the one that I hate is the throw over, the limited throw over. That just means you're going to see a lot more back picks this year by catchers instead of the pitcher throwing over to keep them on base. So, but the other side of that coin is you're probably going to see a lot more stealing and running this year in baseball, which I don't think is a terrible thing.
That's actually that's the thing that I'm looking forward to, and I'm cheating because I'm going to use a couple of them. But the combination of the limited pickoffs, but more importantly, the larger bases, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's going to contribute to more. It'll contribute to more stolen bases. I think it'll contribute to more attempts, and I've said this multiple times on this show. That's what made me fall in love with baseball. It was watching the Cardinals of the early '80s run wild on the bases, even though my team's the Cubs. What made baseball interesting for me? I mean, look, the first baseball games that I remember actually watching, paying attention to, was the Cardinals Brewers World Series. And even though I was rooting for the Brewers because my family's from Wisconsin and everybody was rooting for Milwaukee, I found the Cardinals brand of baseball far more entertaining and far more exciting. And so I'm looking forward to that returning. I'm hoping that we get 100 steal player in the next couple of years. I can't wait for that to come back. I think that'll be great. Unfortunately, it means that Wilson Contreras' arm is going to be even more valuable. But whatever, I'll get over it.
Well, let me ask you about that one. So now that spring training pitchers catchers reported last week, things have been going. Like any different feelings or anything seeing him actually in uniform? Catching guys like Wainwright, Flaherty, anything like that, or is it just kind of like, whatever, ship has sailed, I'm fine.
What I'm interested to see is actually taking a look at the numbers at All-Star break to see what pitcher's ERA is when he catches versus the backup. Mm-hmm. So, and comparing those two, I know last year with the Cubs, pitchers had a better ERA when Wilson was not catching. So I think that's why at the second half of the year, you didn't see him catching as much and you saw Yan Gomes catching more.
Well, you'll certainly count on this nerdy ass Twitter Cardinals fan base who hangs on numbers will be watching the exact same thing, Elliott. So before you recognize it, they will be
counting on it.
Yes.
I'm sure you guys both saw it, and we don't need to get into it right now, but it'll be interesting to see how things play out given Sahadev Sharma's article. It was Sharma, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Sharma. About, he talked about it.
The Cubs doing their best not to talk bad about Wilson while talking bad about Wilson and basically saying that dude writes his own script when he's catching. We'll see if that's the case and if that continues when he's in red.
I can see some headbutting with Wainwright. A couple Cardinals pitchers, especially Wainwright.
Yep.
Having some meetings on the mound.
Well, the interesting matchup would be Chris Carpenter pitching still, if he was still around.
Oh, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Chris Carpenter actually punch his catcher.
He almost punched his own shortstop.
I know, but I mean, not specifically because it's Wilson, but because obviously Carpenter and Yachty were on the same page, and so it never came to that. But I mean, come on. At some point, I think it'd be fun to see a pitcher punch his catcher because his catcher is being so obstinate that he just can't take it anymore.
Yes, I would. Okay. Well, I think we are at the hour, Pete. So if you want to walk us out of here, I will watch the fourth quarter of this XFL Battlehawks game. And I tell you guys, I know this league is funny to some, but it does give some of these guys that have been overlooked or injured or whatever a second chance at playing pro football. I don't know if you guys saw the A.J. McCarron short post-game interview on the sideline after last weekend, but
I missed it.
He won a couple championships for Alabama, right? Mm-hmm. Played a little bit in the NFL.
Girlfriend, wife is a smoke show.
Almost all of them are.
But anyway, he got pretty emotional on the sideline last week, and he wanted his two young sons wanted to see their dad play football, so he decided he was going to go ahead and give it another shot in the XFL. He got pretty emotional over that. Now, the games I watched last weekend were, look, these teams have only been able to practice for 6 weeks, all new to each other. They don't have any game film on their opponent. So if you went in with expectations, it's going to be this polished product that, you know, like these NFL teams that know their opponent, they've seen game film, they've been able to practice. Like the XFL didn't have that advantage in week 1. And I bet by the time we get to about week 7, 8, you're going to see a much more polished, entertaining product. Now, I watched the replay of the Battlehawks game. First 3 quarters sucked. I mean, most of these games were like, there just wasn't a lot of offense. But I think you'll see it start to wake up here in a few weeks, and it'll be pretty entertaining. Look, we've been all restricted to watch the Bears for like the last decade. So you cannot blame me for being, hey, these are still pro players. They're looking for a second chance. They're looking to get noticed. And there's a league that's giving them an opportunity to do that. And it was, some of these games, especially at the end, were pretty entertaining. And they got some quirky rules and things that the NFL is probably looking at, you know, experimenting with. So Battlehawks pulled it. They were down by 12 points with 90 seconds to go. They came back and won the game. I mean, it's just crazy shit. Oh, my God. Yeah, it was crazy last week. And, you know, I don't know. I love the fact that there's a league out there that's giving guys like that another chance. And you've seen some of them from the XFL in 2020 that are in the NFL. Heineke for the Commanders, and you had that quarterback for the Panthers. I can't call his name right now, but he was a Roughnecks quarterback at the time. So it does happen, right? A couple of these guys do get a shot. So it's a cool league. I know it's not the NFL, but I've got my Battlehawks shirt on. My brother-in-law got me because he's a PSL holder there in St. Louis. And I tell you, I know that you'll have no interest in doing it, and I don't blame you. But next weekend, not this weekend, they're going to play their first home game, and that dome is going to be loud as fuck with pro football back. St. Louis is a sports town, regardless of what the NFL or Stan Kroenke or anybody else thinks, and it will be packed. That dome will be packed. And I saw a lot of these stadiums, like in Arlington, the old Texas Rangers Stadium. You know, not so much. Like pretty sparse crowd. It looked like a Pirates game.
Well, we'll have to get on this next time, but there's going to be an empty stadium downtown Chicago in about 4 or 5 years.
Oh yeah. I know that is on the docket for us. The one that spaceship landed in the middle of that old classic stadium. You talking about that one?
Yeah. And that if Lori Lightfoot manages to retain her seat, intends to put a dome on, at which point it's no longer Soldier Field at all.
Hell no.
Barely is now.
Imagine they put a dome over Lambeau Field.
That's right. Exactly. Although there's going to be a dome up in Arlington Heights, but.
All right.
True.
Okay. Look, before I go out, before I read us out, look, it's important to tie up all the loose ends, and it would be wrong if I didn't tie this one up. So, in case you missed it, Ron, you want to give me, you want to allow me to share my screen.
Sure, go for it.
So here we go. As I said, AJ McCarron's wife, total smoke show, and that's after 2 kids, gentlemen.
All right.
Yikes.
You're welcome, YouTube.
Well, thanks for showing.
I think you should just play the outro music now, and we'll just leave that up.
Okay. You got it.
Here's where the Kermit the Frog meme comes up.
That's right. Hang on.
Oh, with the lotion?
That's right.
That is the best GIF I think I've ever found out there floating around.
He's like,
there we go.
There we go.
All right. So with that, just remember, sometimes life throws you a curve, and that's why you need Allstate. So give Sean and his team a call today at 636-764-6294. And we all know buying a vehicle can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. So give Brandon or Don a call at 5th Street Motors today at 573-259-1306 and tell them Gateway City Sports sent you. If you enjoyed this show, don't forget to comment and subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your friends to do the same. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts, as well as Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to check out the other Gateway City Sports Network podcasts, including the Derek King Sports Show. That's the Winter Podcast. Talking Sports in the Bleachers with Don Glenn. 2 for 3 with Moose Michaels. Is XFL STL back now that the XFL is back? Ron?
I believe so. I think they've changed.
You can listen to XFL STL.
But I think they've changed the name. We'll have an update next time we decide to do this. But I think they may have changed the name.
Brilliant. You can send me that information. And the next time we decide to do this is next Thursday. In the meantime, you can find Elliott on Twitter at
TOR_Elliott.
And you can find Ron at
TOR_Ron75.
So get in touch with us at the show at teamofrivalspodcast.com or on any social media channel at Team of Rivals Pod. Gentlemen, it's good to be back. We've had, a month-long hiatus. Spring training games await. And before you know it, guys, it's going to be the 2023 season, and we're going to be arguing about Wilson Contreras.
Cannot wait. Cannot wait for that. All right, Pete, thanks for taking us out. I guess, according to Pete, we'll be talking to you next Thursday. So until then, we love you all so much. Bye-bye, everyone.